Uh, Good evening, colleagues. Thank you very much for joining us. We are starting with our session. It's 6 o'clock. And of course, we do not like to waste time at all. I just like to confirm as usual, if you can hear me, anyone can just confirm with me if you can hear me properly. Thank you very much. Anyone to confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. You know, with technology, you never know. You can just speak to yourself and only later you realize that people didn't hear a thing. Colleagues, let me apologize upfront. The network has not been very stable for the past couple of days. So at times you may not be able to hear me, but as usual, we are recording the session. Usually it comes out clearly, even if the network has got some challenges, and we should be able to share as soon as possible what we are actually doing. So we are going to start right away. And today we're talking about, I see I shouldn't have mentioned the issue of the network because the moment I mentioned it, then it just disappointed me. But I am back, colleagues. Like I said, just bear with us. The stability of the network is not good, and it's really beyond our control. Even the service providers have been working very hard to get it going. So it's one of those things that you're just going to have to then bear with us now. I was still saying that today we have got what I call an interesting topic, and one topic that many people are actually avoiding, the issue of import and export. And that's what we want to talk about today. And I'm hearing some noise on the background. So if someone didn't mute their mic, please just mute your mic there so that we do not hear a lot of background noise. Let me see if I can see from my side, but I don't see anyone who is okay. It's Masofo there, Masofo Mashatse. If you can mute, I think that will be appreciated. Thank you very much. All right. Yes, import, export. And I'm saying, I want us to talk about this because this is one way to actually increase your market or to grow your business. But also, as I'm talking about these things, colleagues, I am hoping that particularly as small businesses, we can start to understand how the economy functions. What I tend to find is that, one, many people avoid the issue of import, export, but mainly because they do not understand how the economy functions. Most SMMEs, they believe that they are supposed to create a product, they are supposed to come up with a product and sell a product. Whereas the economy says, find a product that is needed by somebody and give it to them the cheapest way possible. And if we were to check most of the products in the market, they will usually say made in China. Now, if you know that there is a product that was made in China and you are trying to compete the same product, you are really actually wasting your time instead of finding the same product, get it to the right persons. So you only add value where there aren't people who are already adding value, which you can harvest easily. So that is the first myth that I want to deal with. As an SMME, your job is not to create a product. Your job is to find a product, get it to the people who need it. That way it tends to be cheaper and quicker. And hence, whenever we talk about import or export, many people are avoiding it. The second thing is that we tend to think that import and export, it's only specifically for outside the country. Whereas in actual fact, it applies even between provinces, between districts, and between municipalities. So now, what is import or export, or where does this thing come from in a way? Most of us will know that trade has been around for years, and trade is all about meeting people's need. There is a product that I need, you actually supply it to me. What tends to happen generally in the market is that certain areas, certain countries, or certain people do not have certain products. We do not all have similar things where we are. So you might find that the climate for South Africa maybe is conducive for agriculture, and there are other countries that may not be conducive for agriculture. For example, in our case, we are mainly in the hotter side in terms of seasons, and other countries are on the colder side, or there is snow and all that. So in their area, they are not able to get certain products. Naturally, they will still want to use those products, and they're going to have to get them from the people who have got such products. And therefore, people who understand the market, they will understand that their job is actually to then find who has a product that somebody else might need in another area. And like I said, when we talk about import and export now, I don't want you to only think borders. I want you to think who needs a product that I have and they do not have access to wherever they are for whatever reason. One of the things that we are known for in South Africa is our mineral resources, which we're exporting, to the outside world. The second thing that we are known for is our agriculture as well, which we are exporting, and partially because compared to some other areas, we have got a lot of water. So some other areas, even if they wanted to farm, they do not have enough water. Because we have got enough water, we may be able to farm. But this is something that is also changing. South Africa is starting to have challenges when it comes to water. Now, for those who follows the market, you will also realize that there is another aspect which we call the making of the economy. The economy is not made out of isolation. So South Africa as a country cannot have a viable economy without trading with other countries. At times, what you might notice is that we actually exchange goods that we all have. So you might find that there is a farmer in Zimbabwe is farming chicken. There is another one in South Africa is farming chicken. The one in Zimbabwe is exporting to South Africa, and the one in South Africa is exporting to Zimbabwe. In a way, to the market that they have identified. We are actually swapping. And why is that necessary? That strengthened their economy. Usually we talk about the rand-dollar exchange. What determines the rand-dollar exchange is the amount of goods that we're exchanging. So if we're not exchanging or we're not giving any goods out there in the market, in a way, our currency is going to be weaker. So those who have got stronger currency are the people who are taking their goods out there in the market. And those who have got weaker currency, most of the time is those who are keeping their goods. At the end of the day, when our country reconciles, they want to see how much did they export or trade with other countries in a way, and how much did they import. That is very, very critical. It's critical why? It also shows that if we were to have challenges with products, for example, even if we can make enough maize, but for argument's sake, suppose that we have got challenges, we could have this worm or locusts that are eating our maize to an extent that we do not produce enough in this country. Because we already have import-export a situation with other countries when it comes to maize, it means that we can easily access maize. In actual fact, we won't even struggle because the other countries will be happy to say this time around South Africa is going to buy maize from us. Now, if we do not have that relationship, it becomes difficult for South Africa to come out of danger. For those who follow politics, you'll know partially that that's how we actually achieved freedom. What happened is that South Africa was sanctioned at some point, meaning that it couldn't trade with the international world. And that meant that the economy of South Africa would be in danger. If we ran out of food, we were not able to get food from other countries. So this can also be used as a weapon to fight politically. And for those who follow politics, you will already know that because we import a lot of wheat from Ukraine, in a way, we are already suffering because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. So this is also necessary for the economy itself. It's almost like you're creating a relationship. So we do not import or export only on the basis that there is a need. We import and export because there is a need to keep a relationship. then what I'm saying is that we have got an opportunity to exploit. All right, colleagues, we're really struggling today. We're really struggling. I'm trying to get backup as well to see if I can have another network set up to be a backup for us. It's not so easy, but I will see if I can get that going. But then again, I apologize. Just to summarize what I was saying, just to summarize what I was actually saying, and apologizing as well for the network. What I was saying is that with the import and export, you exploit the need, but over and above, you can exploit the relationship, the bilateral. So if South Africa has got a desire to establish a relationship with Botswana, one way of strengthening that relationship, unlike in the olden days where they will say to one of their sons in South Africa, go and marry a wife in Botswana. What we do this time around is that as the business person, you go and find a business partner in Botswana, start to exchange goods. That way you are strengthening the relationship between South Africa and Botswana. So that is critical. Now, as we talk about export and import, you are doing it to then meet the needs. You are also doing it to maintain the relationship of South Africa and other countries. In terms of meeting the needs now, there are countries that do not have certain products. However, there is also the issue of seasonality. Now, in our case, now we are going towards a winter. It means that we are not in a position to produce maize, except for some that have managed the technology to farm in winter. But in other areas where they are going to summer, they will be able to farm maize. Now, it means that for someone who's actually selling maize, they know that now they've run out of maize, but they can go and source it from someone who lives in a hotter region during our winter. So I remember we were recently signing an agreement with Pakistan in terms of exporting some of our products, in particular the citrus and the mango there. Their reason for wanting to partner with South Africa or to import from South Africa was to meet their seasonal need. While they can produce from their country enough, but out of season, they know that they're going to have a challenge. And you would have noticed, I'll give maybe an example with Archer. There is a time when we have got Archer in plenty, you find it in streets everywhere. For the people who are trading Archer, at that point in time, they are in the market. And after the season of Archer passes, most of them, they just go home and see it. But someone who understands the import and export might identify another country and say, during the time when we are not having the mangoes, I'm going to go to that country because it's their season to actually make the mangoes, meaning that you always have the Archer. So you also meet the need of seasonality. During the season where the products are scarce, they tend to be expensive, meaning that you can also go and find them elsewhere and still sell them at a premium because at that point in time, they are actually expensive. Now, what I'm talking about, colleagues, it's applicable between villages. It is applicable between municipalities. It's applicable between provinces in a way. And it's something that we're actually not exploiting. You'll find that there are farmers in the Bembe region who are farming. You go to the Northern Cape, they are not well endowed when it comes to the issues of farming. They will actually want to be able to get their hands into these products. But this product actually rotting here because ourselves here in Bembe, I am in Bembe myself, we didn't make a relationship with another business in the Northern Cape. And if we were to make that relationship, we could actually pass our products to the Northern Cape. What are we all trying to do? We are all trying to get our products to the Johannesburg market. And that's where we actually fail. Now, to do all these things that I'm talking about, it comes back to what I preach the most: network, being known, belonging to an association, belonging to the chamber. Now, one of the things that you're going to need to do for you to be in the export and import market is that you must find a product, you must find a market, and you must source a supplier. And that's where we have a challenge. Finding a product, I have said what we do, we try and create a product. And that is wrong. You find a product. Now, if you are in the bakery space, I like giving an example with the bakery space, unless somehow you have got a special way of baking. First and foremost, you should be identifying, who's selling baker-related products that I can go and buy and sell them. That's what most of the shops are doing around you. They go and find the Albany bread, Sasco bread, and that's what they're actually selling. So your starting point should have been to say, there are actually people who need bread. How do I get bread to them, the one that is there? But if you feel for some reason your product might be superior or even more desirable, but even most importantly, you can make more money by so doing, you can then create your own product. Now, most of the people who will be in the bakery space, you'll find that they like baking. Yes, that is good, but they fail to understand the retail, how it works. I usually give an example that you'll find that person, they go to ShopRite and buy their flour. They bake bread that they want to actually compete with ShopRite. They were supposed to go to the wholesaler and buy the flour. They were supposed to see themselves as the competitor to ShopRite. They must go and buy where ShopRite is actually buying. So it's some of those things that we need to then deal with. Now, if you do not have a network, which most of the smaller businesses are suffering, if I were to ask how many of you know the channel to get Coca-Cola to come and deliver products to you, most of us, we do not know because we do not belong in a network. How many of us knows how to get a bakery to come and deliver products to us? We do not know because we do not belong to a network. Or we know, but they need us to order in bulk because we do not belong to a network. We cannot order in bulk. So you need to find a product. To find a product, you must know somebody. You must live within a network. You must be able to find the market. To find the market, you must belong into a network. You must be able to know who needs what. For you to know that, you must belong into a network. And for you to find someone who can supply reliably, again, you must belong to a network. Now, in terms of South Africa, remember that we just came out of oppression. We are not the first world. We do not belong to the first, probably second or third. We are a developing country. Most of the successful companies, what they are doing is to go and identify technology in Germany, Australia, America, bring it into South Africa, they adapt it and sell it to you. So that is the import. Whereas most of the small businesses, they are actually waiting to see if they cannot create an alternative of what is there out in the market. And you do not win, you need a lot of money to be able to do that. Whereas if you identify a product out there, you want to bring it into South Africa, you win. Now, you even win more, importantly, if you can identify a product that is not yet into the South African market. Now, just to give an example of the trade relations, you'll find that China has got a better trade relation with America. So whenever they come up with a better product, Americans will get it first. But if you establish a relationship with some American company, you can actually open a branch of an American company in South Africa, meaning that as soon as America gets it, South Africa is getting it through you. So most of the businesses that we're doing, what we should be doing, we should be identifying what are the products that are out there in the world that we do not have in South Africa. We go and find them. So most of us are actually stuck because we're trying to reason and think a lot. Instead of finding a product, we put it in the market for somebody who likes it. And that's what we need to do. And again, colleagues, this does not only apply for across the border. It applies across the municipality. Let us go back and look at how particularly Black people made it during the apartheid era. There were restrictions in terms of going to town, going to Gauteng, to the big cities. Now, few people who saw that restriction understood that most of the Black people will then not have access to the products. What they then did was to get a permit to go and get the products in Gauteng. They bring them home and actually sell. Most of the general dealers, that's what they were doing. Actually, most of the people who made their money then, that's what they are doing. Guess what? The reason we are being overpowered as small companies in South Africa is because we have failed to take on that model, mainly because now the products are not being sourced in Gauteng, they are being sourced in China. And hence most of us will actually complain and say, other people have come into our countries, they are doing trade and all those things. Why are they overpowering us? Is because they know how to go and source the products, come and sell them. What are we doing to compete with them? We're trying to create products. You can't win that way. China, it's very well known for actually coming up with products. It will be very, very difficult to compete with them, coming up with the technology of manufacturing. I've seen some few people actually trying to do something which I think is very silly or very stupid. You go to China, you go and buy a Chinese toilet paper manufacturing machine. You come into South Africa, you're busy manufacturing. Some of those things, you just check that if you were to just bring the toilet paper itself, you could make money easily than if you are trying to actually manufacture. But because you believe you must make a product, you are busy trying to make a product instead of finding a product. Now, if you were to get into a space of finding a product, you slowly get into a space of adapting that product for your market. That's how you create a product. So you don't want to start from zero. You want to start from a product that is existing. Colleagues, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this import and export. Now, I just want to summarize a very simple process that you must follow if you want to be in the import and export. And for those who need more details, you are ready for business. I'm ready to work with you on the side. Now, the first thing that you need to do, is to set up your business. And what you need to do, having set up your business, is to make sure that you have got the online presence. Remember, in this day and age, for you to get someone from America to notice you, you just need to have very good online presence, play in Facebook, play in Twitter, and all those things. That's how you get to be known. So you cannot avoid the issue of technology. And it's one of those things that smaller businesses are failing. We do not have websites. We do not have Facebook page. We are not playing in Twitter, except for jokes and games and all those things. I think there is someone who unmuted their mic. If you can just mute your mic there. All right, thank you very much. So that is the first thing that you need to do. Get to be noticed, get to be known out there. It's so funny, the requests that I get from outside countries, looking for products in South Africa. I've just indicated that we just signed an agreement with Pakistan now. I got an email from Mauritius as well. And then I got an email from Romania as well. They are looking for South African products, and the likelihood is that they checked online, they couldn't find anyone who's supplying those products. Now you set up yourself. Number two, pick a product that you want to import or export. And you do not have to choose which one to do. You can go and find products in Botswana that we can use in South Africa. You can find products in South Africa that they can use in Mozambique. So you do not have to stick in one thing. Sometimes you can even bring it into South Africa, then to take it to Nigeria. There's nothing wrong with that. The advantage of South Africa is that most of the goods are landing in South Africa for them to go into Africa. So pick a product that you want to sell. Again, how do you pick? You must be in the network. If you are not in the network, you won't know what's happening in Mozambique. You won't know what's happening in Zambia. And within the chamber, we have created those channels. We do bilateral talks with other countries. Number three, find the right market. And again, colleagues, this talks to networking. Now, I have seen with SMM is they're busy begging people, please buy from me, please buy from me. It doesn't work that way. Before you identify a product, you must have an idea of the right market. You just need to firm it up once you have got a product. So you remember the value chain that I've spoken about. You shouldn't struggle to know who's going to give you your money. All right. And number four, you need to source a supplier. You have identified the product, the market. You need someone who's going to give you the product reliably. And hopefully you're going to sign some kind of an agreement there, or MOU. And that's what we are doing already with the various countries. We sign such. And then you're going to have to price a product. You are looking at the price with which you're buying the product and the price with which they are likely to buy the product in the other country. And then you then need to deal with the logistics of transporting your product. Again, with this one, you need your network. If you need to move something within Namibia, if you do not have some kind of people that you talk to in Namibia, it's going to be very difficult. But if you know somebody within the network, it's very easy. I also spoke to one other company today. They were indicating that they bought a product from a South African company. And when I did a research, I realized that they were scammed simply because they were not working with a network. They went to find some bogus company, they paid money, they are not getting their products, their phones are not being answered. So the network helps you in a way just to make sure that you do not get scammed as well. We also have a relationship with the Department of International Trade. We talk to the embassies as well and all those things. So those are the benefits of being in the network. Colleagues, as usual, you know that when I talk, I just want to stimulate your thinking. If you need more information and when you show you need to do a specific business, I've indicated that BizVice, we are in that space. We do business plans. We connect you with people. You know, within the chamber, we assist you to network as well. So if you need more information on the side, you can contact me there. Can I then give an opportunity for anyone who wants to chip in? If you want to give a comment or you want to ask a question, you are welcome to do that. You can just raise your hand and then I'll give you that opportunity. If I don't see your hand, you can just unmute and speak. All right, I see the hand there for Tabo. You can go on the platform.
Afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, thank you very much.
Sure, Bob. No, it's just a comment. I think today you've hit it on the nail. I mean, on the head. The problem with the SMM is, I think the only problem that we are doing is to reinvent the wheel. So what you said today, I think all of us must go back to the drawing board and run with what is running and not go back and try to reinvent the wheel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your input and thank you for joining us. Colleagues, any other comments? We must go back to the drawing board and make sure that we run with everybody else.
Hello.
Yes, you can proceed. iPhone, just introduce yourself. It's written iPhone here.
Okay, my name is Semi Palani. I'm in the agro-processing space. The challenge, how do you navigate this challenge? Because you find a situation whereby I get orders from India, China, other European countries looking for citrus fruits. And you'll understand that most of the farmers, white farmers, they've got relationships to export their produce already. And in most cases, their production are saturated to be exported. Now, when you get an order from overseas to export, you run around looking for producers or farmers with those kind of products. It's difficult to get hold of them. So I've on several occasions went through that kind of a situation where you run around the country looking for citrus producers. Those that you get with a good specification, they're already having good contracts overseas, Europe and stuff. And those that you want, and predominantly they're white farmers. Those which they have, they want to take that particular order from you and say, give it to us, we want to supply them, then we'll give you a small cut. How do you overcome that kind of a challenge?
All right, thank you very much for joining us. Again, it really goes back to the network as I have spoken about. You'll remember that South Africa in itself, they are trying to empower SMMEs and particularly Black people. And some of the initiative in terms of import-export, they play a role in a way. I've given an example with Pakistan, that was being facilitated through the government, the provincial government in Limpopo. If you belong to a network, instead of waiting to get a specific order and run around, we can actually prepare for such orders so that by the time you get an order, you can get into the market. One thing that happens in the market is that people are reluctant to deal with people who will be on and off. They want a long-term relationship. And of course, some other countries will run short, either because they've encountered a particular disease, they'll run around looking for such products. And by the time they get to you, they would have tried everybody else that you want to try and get your product out there. And hence they want to try and get it to you. So my simple answer there is to say, let us not wait for the crisis time. Let us build our network. Let us jump in where we need to use the government to persuade. So for example, if we were to find that most of the farmers who have got citrus products are white, But we can establish the markets through the assistance of government and have contracts. We become the agents. They've got no choice but to go via us because it's a bilateral relationship of the two countries. The other country is bound to respect the relationship with South Africa and the way South Africa wants to do things. But unfortunately, because we don't play in that space, we do not give our country the power to implement BEE across even the borders. So in the nutshell, for me, I would say it's for us to be in the network, to sit down and plan ahead and make sure that we play in that space, even if we know that we are not producing citrus. But we play until we become agents. And one of the requirements become the issue of SMMEs or BEE, such that the white farmers will actually need you for them to be able to export. And if there is anyone who's more knowledgeable who has joined us, can chip in there as well to assist. Anyone with an input to that question, or anyone who has got any other thing to ask, or if you want to do a follow-up, Mr. Musi, you are welcome to do so.
Hi, good evening. Lina Lakakisilatamato. I really speak or I really comment or something. Yes, I have enjoyed this evening lecture. I think it was brilliant. And not only I think it was brilliant, it was very informative. One of the things that I've learned through your programs and through Limpopo Chamber of Commerce and Industry is that you do run a very tight network. One of the things that to the previous speaker anyway, one of the things that he could do when he gets such contact, if he's a member of LCCI, he can just say, hey, I need 5,000 or 10,000 or 1 million cases of citrus. So it's easier from when you are a member of organization, because the organization itself will check out that thing and all members within the organization will try or provide. And you are guaranteed that because they are members of association. I don't think the association doesn't do any checking. Sorry. Good evening. I enjoyed the lecture very much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Matrowu, and thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. Colleagues, is there anyone else who have got a comment? You can unmute and speak. All right. It looks like we have come to the end of our session. Thank you everyone for.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Jeleni. I had a question. I don't know if you can answer. I used to translate for a certain wada, and then I realized talking about the citrus, the South African government or the Boers or the people who were transporting the citrus, they are different type of citrus that I've ever seen in South Africa. I've never eaten those type of citruses. I've never seen them anywhere in the market. Yet they were delivered every or whatever seasonally in Japan. So my question to you is that why do they eat some of the most ravishing citruses in that country produced in my country while I cannot access them? Do I make sense? Or I've never seen them in shops?
Definitely. Actually, it's one of those things that it's happening in the market. There is a shift to meet what we call a niche market in a way. And it's a way of beating competition, because if you've never been to Japan to see it, you want to know that in South Africa, there is an opportunity to farm certain products, or South Africa is conducive to then do that. And that's what most of the big farms are actually doing now. They are transforming to meet a certain niche market. And before you know it, by the time we are done with the land appropriation or whatever you call it, in a way, you'll find that the type of products that we may farm or we need to farm, in a way, we do not have capacity, we do not even know who's consuming them. So yes, that happens, but unfortunately, there's nothing we can do, because what they do, they go and find someone in Japan who needs that, and they farm specifically for them, in a way, and they need that product, they are willing to pay a premium price. And in South Africa, if they wanted to sell it, you won't pay that much. Even for typical citrus, by the way, the first grade usually goes out and we get the second or third grade if there is such a thing. Thank you very much for that input or comment. And if there is anyone who wants to comment on that or any other, you are welcome to comment on that. All right, colleagues, thank you very much. We have come to the end of our session, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by you, to interact with you. And I am hoping that as we interact, you go out there, apply this, engage with me outside the sessions. Let's make sure that we make more money. That's what we need to do. So I'm expecting that many people out of this session, they're going to go into import and export. So let's talk about it outside this session. Good evening, everybody. Keep hustling.